Hello, I've been getting a couple of questions about Learning Module 3 and I wanted to take a few minutes to review the module with you. Here are the outcomes. In this particular segment, you're going to learn about 4 different leadership theories or leadership definitions: contingency theory, path goal theory, learning member exchange theory, and transformational leadership. Then you're going to examine your individual leadership style as it relates to these 4 approaches, and then you're going to articulate your core values and how they will likely inform your leadership development. So here's the activities. The first thing you need to do is read thoroughly 6, 7, 8, and 9, those chapters, and please take a few minutes to also review the PowerPoint presentations, because these learning modules, or I should say not learning modules, these leadership theories are not the easiest to understand. They somehow can all blend into one. Now, your first assignment, and this is the only one I'm going to cover, you are to choose one of the 4 chapters. So there's 6, 7, 8, 9. Choose one of these chapters that interests you and identify a leader, and not one leader that you have already written about. I notice that this module, and this is, I guess it's because you all did such a great job with the first learning module, writing about someone that you admire in higher ed or in education, that I thought, gee, this sounds familiar, but pick a different leader, okay? A leader whom you are familiar with, someone who has influenced your career. It does not have to be someone that you know. Write a brief summary, as it mentions here, 3 pages, and that's going to be double spaced. Please remember to have a cover page or a title page as well as a citation page, and how that individual might be considered the poster leader for that leadership application or theory. Be sure to make specific references to the text and document appropriately. So what that means is you are going to pick someone who exemplifies one of those leadership styles. Again, you don't have to know the person personally. So find someone who you admire and you can write about. Go to the chapter for that particular leadership definition and read carefully about it and understand the definitions of that particular leadership style, and then find someone who you can write about, at least 3 pages, who you can say, these are the leadership definition elements, let's say, for the contingency style, and then you want to more or less say, for this particular leader that I have chosen, here are the examples that show that this person is a poster leader. All right, I'm back. This is just a little PowerPoint I put together to talk about the different leadership styles. First of all, what is a poster leader? That is a person who's the embodiment of a particular theory, style, or definition. You've heard the word poster child. Well, this is almost the same type of definition, except that this is a leader. So you want someone who is going to exemplify that particular leadership definition that you are referring to. A leader who is, can't say that word, emblematic of a known cause, movement, etc., etc. Now, as you did in the first exercise, in this exercise, you can tell a little bit about the leader. Please do not give me a history of the leader, how many degrees that they have, what schools that they went to, how many offices they had. Just something brief, not the entire history of the person, because you have only 3 pages to write about the person, and the 3 pages are going to be filled with specific examples that you can more or less cite, or I say specific examples, but then an example where you can say this person has exemplified that particular style. So one approach that you can do is the contingency theory. This more or less takes into consideration the leader's style and the situation. This is a person who is task motivated, a person who emerges as a leader, a person who may not come across at first as a leader, but given a situation, that person more or less, let's say, picks up the sword and leads and becomes a leader. Now, I thought it might be interesting to give you some examples some examples that could relate to, or that you can relate to movies that perhaps you have seen. If you saw To Kill a Mockingbird, if you remember the lawyer in that particular movie, I can't remember, I think his first name was Atticus or something like that. Can't remember the name of that particular character, but that individual was a mild-mannered lawyer in a small town, and more or less he picked up the fight to protect an African American who had been accused of a crime. So that is an example of the contingency theory approach. Someone who the leadership's effectiveness depends upon the style and the situation, and someone who motivates others. In a different situation, the same person would not be a leader. So To Kill a Mockingbird is one example of a movie. If any of you saw the great movie called The Whale Rider, about a little girl who takes up the fight to save the whales, she was not a leader in her village, but there was a cause, and she more or less, with her style and with the situation, became a leader. The second one is the path-goal theory. And the path-goal theory basically focuses on a leader who motivates subordinates towards a particular goal. This one looks at the relationship between the leader's style and the characteristics of the subordinates, because that's important. Even though someone may go ahead and have a particular goal, they may not have the people to follow them. One example of this is the movie Erin Brockovich. If you can remember Erin Brockovich, a woman who was in an area where there was toxic waste. She basically got the townspeople and the government to recognize the cause. The Great Escape, that's another movie where there was a goal to escape. And if you can remember the individuals, there was one particular individual, and I apologize, I don't remember all the names of the movie, but the whole goal was to escape from a concentration camp. And so you had someone who picked up the sword again and became a leader, but the person had individuals who wanted to be led by him. Also, Blindside, that's a more recent movie, and the female character in that was an example of a path goal theory. Someone who centers on a particular goal and attempts to accomplish it. The third leader approach is one that probably the definition doesn't really explain it that well, but it's the leader-member exchange. And I like to think of this as a leader who has good communication skills, but more than communication skills. Someone who can use his or her communication skills to be effective, to more or less lead others towards a common goal, or to lead others to a successful event, or a successful project, or to move forward to being a success. Some individuals for that, or a movie that would probably exemplify that, would be 12 Angry Men. I don't know if you saw that movie, but it's the story of a teenager who was accused of a crime, and there were 12 men on the jury, and there was one individual there who was very effective in explaining how this teenager could not have possibly committed the crime. And that is after the other 11 people had declared that the person was guilty. And at the end of the movie, you find out that the person is declared innocent. So that's an example of someone with effective communication skills. Another good idea, another good example is Braveheart. And I forget the person's last name. I think it was Tom... I want to say Watson, but that's I don't think that's the name of the Scottish leader who led his villagers to fight against the British, and it was a very strong fight. They did not win, but again, It was to a common cause and getting everyone else involved. The last approach is the transformational type of leader. This is one that is very easy to understand. That is the person who engages others. This is the person who more or less gets others to lead or get others to make decisions. It's the leader who steps back and says, I don't want all the glory. I want my subordinates. I want my coworkers. I want my the individuals who work for me to actually make this project work. I want them to go ahead and get success. I want to hear from them how we can all work together. So the leader is attentive to the needs and motives of followers and tries to help followers reach their fullest potential. And an example of that would be Gandhi, as you see here. This slide has an example of what Gandhi has done, raises the hope and demands of millions of his people, and in the process was changed himself. And the movie Gandhi certainly exemplifies a transformational leader. And then another one that's really interesting is The Lion King. I'm sure some of you have seen The Lion King, and that is someone who more or less works with others to move forward. I hope that this has helped you, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Take care, and I will be talking to you soon.